Okay, let's see how to get Minitab to run the various tests for special causes when you're doing control charts. And again, I've got these hard-baked data here, and I've used all 45 samples. And if I go in and get my control charts, so variable charts for subgroups, I'm doing both the X bar and the R. I come in and I choose, okay, my data are in rows of columns, so I give it the 5 columns that they're found in. And under your data options, okay, we're going to include all the rows, so we'll leave that alone. Under X bar and R, we want to make sure that the method for estimating the standard deviation is shown there as X bar, which it is. And now if we go to this tab that says Tests, by default Minitab will only perform one test, and that test is to identify points that plot more than 3 standard deviations away from your center line. So these are ones that are going to plot outside your control limits. And you can go in and choose individual tests, or if I hit the down arrow here, I can do no tests, or I can tell it to do all the tests. Now, it'll do all the tests and it will show it to you on the graph, but you're also probably going to want to go into the display, and this is turned on anyway. The default is that it will display the test results in your session window. So I'm going to say OK and OK, and I get my plot, and on my X bar chart I see that I have a point down here at sample number 15, and if I mouse over it tells me it fails test number 5, whatever that is. We'll go in and have a look at that in a minute. And then I got another one right here that fails at test number 5 and test number 6. This one here at sample 42 is failing at test 6, as is this one here at sample 44. Sample 43 fails at 5 and 6, and the last sample 45, is failing at test number 1 and 5 and 6 and 8. So we'll have a look at them. And on the R bar chart, the only thing that fails is subsample number 16, and it is only failing at test number 1, I think. Yep, test number 1. So if I come back in here and I have a look at my results, alright, it tells me here that for test number 1, I had a data point that plotted more than 3 standard deviations away from the center line, and that was point number 45, and we saw that on the X bar chart. Test number 5, this is 1. It says here when you have 2 out of 3 points that are more than 2 standard deviations away from the center line, and it's telling us that that happened in subgroups 15, 41, 43, and 45. Test number 6 is when you get 4 out of 5 points that are more than 1 standard deviation away from the center line, and it tells me which data sets or subgroups failed for that particular test. And then test number 8, 8 points in a row, more than 1 standard deviation away from the center line, and that was that was subsample number 45. So these are all the points that failed the various tests on the X bar chart. And if I come down here for the R chart, the only one I had was at subsample number 16. That point plotted more than 3 standard deviations away from the center line, and that's the test number 1. So if you want to see each of these individual tests, you can turn these on, or you can leave them off and just leave on the ones that plot outside of the control limit.